Hello, my name is Jim. I'm creating this video as a presentation for a course, EDUC 639, on blog comparisons, specifically blogs that focus on educational technology. So, like I just said, I'm creating this presentation to discuss a few blogs that focus on educational technology. For each blog, I'll give a quick overview, go over some pros and cons, and then compare the blogs in a few key aspects, specifically scholarly content, possible implementation of the tools and technologies they talk about, and the blogs focus on digital citizenship, which is obviously a big part of my course. The blogs specifically are Free Tech for Teachers, which is a blog designed as a resource for educators who are seeking a go-to for practical and mostly free digital tools and technology advice. TESL Ontario, which is a resource for educators in the field of teaching English as a second language, but they do have an emphasis on integrating digital tools and fostering responsible digital citizenship. And then Gen Digital. This blog website is dedicated to providing resources and insights on teaching digital citizenship and online safety in schools. So the first one, freetechforteachers.com. This was one, unlike the others, this was started and is primarily run by a specific person, Richard Byrne. But this blog covers a wide range of topics, from educational technology tools to instructional strategies that enhance digital literacy. Some of the content includes tools that talk about formative assessments, virtual field trips, student collaboration. They do discuss all the tools, how to use it, and provide links to tutorials and things like that. So going over some of the cons, it was practical. Like I said, it has tutorials, it's got advice. It says, here's a tool, here's a technology, here's what we think about it. And that also, one of the other pros was tool reviews and recommendations. It was very straightforward, kind of a no frills recommendation or review. It would just go through like, hey, here's what we think about this. Use it, don't use it, whatever, but this is what we think. And then they also had regular updates. There were multiple posts every month. So it does a good job of staying up to date on content. Some of the cons, scholarly depth. This one's more about providing advice and tools and resources and stuff for educators. But some of the scholarly depth was a little lacking, I found. And then the amount of content was a bit overwhelming. And not that there was really too much content, I just found it wasn't organized super well. It was kind of tough to find content I was looking for specifically. Like there's a search bar, but you still, search, and then you kind of have to wade through topics or blog posts to find specifically what you're looking through. Not really a pro or con. I just thought, or here's another thing I didn't think was really a pro or con, just kind of an interesting, cool thing, is they partnered with a website called TeacherMade, which is a learning management system that can help instructors create curriculum content, integrate tech and digital systems into their curriculum, create and grade assignments, that kind of thing. It costs money for a subscription, but I just thought that was kind of a cool forward-thinking thing that this blog post also included. Moving on, we've got the second one, which is the TESL Ontario. Again, the good thing about this is it extends into a broader audience than just the ESL community. It does a good job of showing how all instructors could incorporate technology into their classroom. Some of the pros, it's very timely. Just the most recent posts on there were very current with issues in education, such as AI discussions and digital citizenship, those kind of things. They also had very actionable strategies. You could take teaching strategies, and there were real world activities you could implement and see how they would help your students, such as analyzing deep fakes or discussing AI biases, like those type of things. You could see just plain face just how that would help the students. And then they did a good job of categorizing content. They had all their articles were organized into specific categories. So if you wanted to search specifically, let me see all the content they've got on AI that was focused into a category. And they also did it, they've got different bloggers, and they created a profile for each blogger. So if you are reading through some of their websites or some of their blogs, and you realized one post you really agree with everything the person said, and they teach like the exact same age as you and the same subject, then you could actually go to that blogger's profile and find other articles that that person has written. So I thought that was just organized well. The main con is the ESL focus, and that wasn't super noticeable. Like I said, there was quite a few things that were still important to every educator in like a broad sense. There was some ESL focus, which made some of the content not specifically relevant for me. And then also just kind of a lack of multimedia use engagement. It was a very text heavy blog posts, which sometimes it's just kind of disarming to look at just a giant wall of text. Not a huge con, just kind of a strange thing. Moving on to the next one, Gen Digital. Their blog's main focus is how to develop responsible online behaviors for students, including social media literacy and online ethics. They've got practical advice and theoretical discussions about changing landscape of digital engagement. They also focus on fostering safe, inclusive digital environments. So the main pro, the biggest one I found was they really do a good job of social media and safety. And what I mean by that is they really have topics that are very relevant to the students, I would think, or at least me as an educator would want the students to be focused on things like social media, safety, privacy, those type of things in an online world. Things I really would want my students or my children to pay attention to. So I liked the relevancy of a lot of their topics. They also do a good job of having actionable advice, like specific strategies for educators, whether you could create a digital citizenship program and really implement it pretty easy into your school, very step by step instructions and guides for implementation, that type of thing. They also provided very broad coverage of digital citizenship and literacy. They had a wide range of topics, a very like holistic view at all the potential that's behind the increasing digital footprint on education. Some of the cons: generalization and scholarly depth. I felt that a lot of the topics, like I said, it was very broad, but it was also just kind of a broad stroke of here's some advice for how you can implement these things. There wasn't a lot of scholarly depth or really in-depth pedagogical pedagogical discussions on the hows and whys of how and why to include digital citizenship, and why to focus one way instead of another way. It was more just like general advice, good advice, very actionable, but it wasn't very deep, in my opinion, at least for the majority of the posts. So moving on to a quick review. To start with, we'll go over scholarly content. Hausper et al., they did a study indicating the increasing importance of AI literacy in education. Things like AI and some of these other topics are really not optional anymore in education. Like they really need to be included. And I felt like the ESL Ontario blog did a good job of providing really well-written scholarly articles with scholarly peer-reviewed sources to back up a lot of their discussions, specifically on AI literacy. So I would say the ESL blog, as far as scholarly content, won between the three. The other ones, the free technology for teachers and Gen Digital, they both were more focused on practical, actionable advice. And they had some scholarly discussions, but I felt like the ESL one went into the deepest scholarly content, specifically talking about AI and all the new age kind of discussions around technology. The next one, implementation potential. Bennett et al. In 2022 found that free resources and also just a higher number of resources, like providing students more options, can help be more effective in engaging students in digital literacy. So if you provide them free things that they can do, free ways that they can get involved and get more options out there, that can help them be more engaged in this topic. In the Free Technology for Teachers website, or that blog, they provided the most practical tools and the most options, the most ways for teachers or students to find free ways to get involved and learn about digital literacy. So that one I think was the best option there. The TSL Ontario blog, they've got good strategies for implementing digital citizenship as well, but it focuses more on some of the issues surrounding a lot of the content and not as good at really implementing it and giving you actionable advice. Gen Digital did a lot of advice and reviews and stuff as well, but I just found the free technology for teachers a bit more um, a bit more actionable and a bit more easy to use. And lastly, we'll go on to digital citizenship, um, which I just realized is misspelled in there. Wow, it's embarrassing. Um, anyway, the TSL Ontario blog excels in its focus on AI and ethical implications for digital citizenship, providing educators with valuable strategies for teaching students to navigate the complexity of AI and some of these more advanced topics. Um, and Liu et al. In 2020 discussed the need for digital ethics in education and how critical that is. So, really having a high quality topic about digital ethics is really important. And all the blogs did that, but I felt like the TSL Ontario blog did the best and also had the most sources and resources to back up their discussions and claims. And they got kind of the deepest into some of those discussions. So, of those three, I would say that the TSL Ontario blog is the winner, I guess, in quotes, of the three, looking at my specific points of action and what I was looking for. However, free technology for teachers that had a bunch of really good resources for practical, like classroom ready tools. So I thought that was really helpful. And the Gen Digital blog does provide a strong foundation for teaching digital citizenship. I just felt like it could have improved its depth and scholarly options a bit more. So anyway, that's kind of my 2.5 cents there on those three blogs. Again, all of them had a bunch of great advice, a bunch of reviews, tons of information. But I just felt like the ESL one um, got the most in depth, and I really appreciate like really in depth discussions on topics, especially these kind of complicated topics like AI, ethics, digital citizenship, those kind of complicated topics. So I really appreciated the ESL website for their depth. Bye.